I love you.
What is going on, everybody? This is Mike Hughes, and you're listening to Mike on the Mic, aka the Shy Kid. You are watching an everything Chicago sports related podcast. I'm excited today, man. I mean, CubsCon is less than 24 hours away, just about. It is currently 4:36. CubsCon kicks off tomorrow night at 5 p.m. If everybody's there, I hope you have an amazing weekend. I'm going to try to pop out on Saturday. I do have work this weekend, so we are going to be kind of busy with a bunch of other things, making content. There's so many different things going around throughout the world right now. Pros and Joes, another episode, amazing minor league talent. We're going to be interviewing tonight at 8 p.m. Central. Welcome to Mars. We're also going to be doing a show with my brother Rob Scott around 7 p.m. It's going to be fun, man, but we got some Chicago Cubs news flying through left and right. Obviously, last night we found out that Jed made the fleece of a century. Now, it might be the fleece of a century. It might not be. You know what I mean? Like, it might just be a decent deal. But from what we're seeing so far, Shota Imanaga has been nothing short of amazing in Japan, and I can't wait to see him in a Chicago Cubs uniform. He's likely not going to be at CubsCon, so that's very unfortunate, but hopefully we'll get to see him in a Cubs uniform sometime very soon. It's going to be really interesting to see how that deal transpires. The AAV towards it is about $13.2 million per year over 4 years, which is about $53 million, if I'm not mistaken, which is a steal. When you look at Yamamoto, who got $300 million, and you look at Shohei Ohtani, who got $700 million. Obviously, those guys got paid that amount for certain reasons. But with a cheap deal like this, you can still see the Cubs going after guys like Rhys Hoskins, going after guys like Cody Bellinger, trying to bring in as much talent as possible while still bringing in guys who, when you put it all together, are going to make a huge difference for this ball club. To pair up Justin Steele and Shota Imanaga, and then you have Jameson Taillon, Jordan Wicks, and Kyle Hendricks. You could still potentially have guys like Ben Brown and Cade Horton as well. I love that deal. I love that deal so much. We're definitely going to be talking about the trade, so don't go anywhere at all. The Chicago Cubs also made a trade this morning. Absolutely phenomenal. I'm geeked about it. I was talking to a couple of my guys at Marquee and a couple other places throughout the industry talking about the trade. It's going to be fun, though, man. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be exhilarating. Really quick before we get on, because we already talked about Shota the other day, we're going to continue to talk about him and what he's going to bring to this team moving forward throughout the next couple of weeks. But to really recap that, I think Jed hit it on the head. A lot of us thought it was going to be a 4 to 6 year deal around $85 to $100 million. To get it for 53 is absolutely, I mean, I was astonished. I was honestly blown away. Maybe there's something he knows that we don't. Maybe there's something Shota's camp knows that we don't. Maybe the market just wasn't there after the Yamamoto stuff. But it's crazy to me that he didn't even crack 75. So with that being said, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Because of the way Jed Hoyer just moved with the Los Angeles Dodgers, I am baffled that this deal even occurred. Now, the deal itself kind of was quiet at first. We didn't know what the Cubs were going to trade in return. I was thinking maybe a Matt Mervis, a BJ Murray, maybe even a James Triantos, which I don't want any of those guys to leave. But when you hear the name Michael Busch, he is a top 100 prospect, currently ranked 44 overall in all of minor league baseball and in the major baseball pipeline. Currently for the Chicago Cubs, he is now at number 7. We traded 7 for 7. We traded Jackson Ferris, a left-handed pitcher for the Chicago Cubs, straight out of high school, and outfielder Zhyir Hope. For the Cubs, this isn't a huge issue right now. I've talked to a bunch of other people. I've also done my own due diligence watching Ferris over the last couple of years. He's an absolute stud, left-handed pitcher that the Dodgers desperately need right now. They do not have many many pitchers in here. But I do think at the end of the day, you know, when you bring in a guy like Ferris, he is going to be deadly if he develops in the Dodgers farm system. And we know they can develop pitching very well. So that's going to be really interesting. Zhyir Hope, kind of just a sweetener. You know, they don't really need him, but it's nice depth. He wasn't going to play in a Chicago Cubs uniform anytime soon. When you got the guys like Kevin Alcantara, you have guys like Owen Casey, Brennan Davis, P. Crow Armstrong, potentially Cody Bellinger, Ian Happ, Seiya Suzuki. There was just no room. So that's completely understandable. But the Dodgers trade away their number 2 prospect, third baseman, Michael Busch, who was absolutely horrible at the major league level last year, but they rushed him into development. The 27-year-old, going to be 27-year-old, currently 26-year-old rookie is going to have a phenomenal opportunity with the Chicago Cubs organization to prove he is everything that he's been in minor league baseball. In 2023, he batted .323 in AAA with 27 home runs. Wasn't great in the major leagues with the Dodgers organization, but they also put him in situations to where he wasn't getting consistent at bats, and he just wasn't in a place where he could succeed, and they were in a win now mode. For the Chicago Cubs, one of the biggest question marks about Michael Busch is going to be his all-around defense. Offensively, all-around talent. This guy is a generational hitter. I love what we're going to see from him. He has power, he has contact, he has speed, his OPP, his OBS, everything looks phenomenal. The only question is, can he play third base every single day at the MLB level? And he's going to get every opportunity to prove that. That's just point blank, period. What you're going to see is the Patrick Wisdom, Nick Madrigal experiment fade away, and I believe that job is either going to be held by Christopher Morel or now Michael Busch. And that's really just what it is. You know, Michael can also play second base, but we know the up-the-middle defense between Dansby Swanson and Nico Hoerner is locked in. I mean, multiple-time Gold Glovers in Dansby Swanson, and Nico Hoerner just won his first last year. Definitely offensively, those guys are exactly where they need to be right now. Nico's around 280 to 290 at a batting average. And then you got a guy like Dansby who he does his job. He does his job very well. You're not going to sit here and say he's going to be batting 280 every year, but he's definitely going to knock in runs. He's definitely going to be that guy who can get on base when you need him to. So, yeah, I love him at third base. He's right-handed, but he bats lefty, so that's definitely something that this rotation, this lineup needed. When you look at it and you say, can he play first base? There's a lot of people. I saw Ken Rosenthal tweeted something earlier, potentially that he retweeted something earlier. Like he could potentially be at first base. That's definitely an option. He's right-handed, so I don't really see that happening, but it's definitely an option. It depends how Matt Mervis continues to develop. Depends what happens with Cody Bellinger if he extends with the team. But it's going to be really interesting to see that. And I think at the end of the day, where you have to look at it is this. Listen, this kid can rake in over 25 homers a year. You know that. This kid can bat over 300 in the AAA. So what is he going to be able to do at the MLB level? You're imagining somewhere around 270 minimum. You know what I mean? This kid, if he develops, could be a great asset to this team. Left-handed bat. You know, with that, would you rather go after a J.D. Martinez, who's aging, who is inconsistent, and injuries are a big part of his history? Or would you rather have a guy like Michael Busch, who's 26 years old, who's coming into himself and really just going to get the opportunity to be who he needs to be? Remind you, this isn't the typical reason a rookie is 26 years old, 27 years old. It's not that he wasn't ready. It's that guys like Justin Turner, Mookie Betts, and so many others are in front of him. You know what I mean? Like, that's the problem. You know, you have Hall of Famers left and right on that Dodgers roster for that 40-man. And when you see them bring in Yamamoto and you see them bring in Glasnow and Ohtani and all these other guys, you know, they had to make room. They had to make room, and they didn't see a spot for him in this moment. So it's definitely a positive for the Cubs. You know, I'll say this to my dying breath. The Dodgers are going to be better than us tomorrow. They're going to be better than us next week. They're going to be better than us next month, next year, maybe even the next 4 or 5 years. But today, the Chicago Cubs won and beat the Dodgers in a trade. Now, Ferris is going to be great. I truly believe that. I've watched him for a while. His mechanics, who he is, the left-handed pitcher, the commodity that comes with that. I mean, it's obvious. You know, he's going to be great, especially in that Dodger system. They're going to develop him into probably an all-star caliber player. But when you look at the Cubs rotation as it currently stands, two lefties already in two lefties already in Jordan Wicks and Shota Imanaga. And then obviously you have Justin Steele, Jameson Taillon, Kyle Hendricks for now, and then Cade Horton, Ben Brown. You know, we're already very, very tight on what we're trying to do. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, we just don't have a spot for him at this very moment. And Jack might prove everybody wrong. Jack might be the best out of Cade, might be the best out of Ben. It's possible. I'm not going to sit up here and say it's not. But for today, when you look at the Cubs pipeline and say BJ Murray's really the only third baseman that they currently have, it makes sense. Now, no shade to James Chiantos. James Chiantos was an Arizona Fall MVP, absolute monster, but they have moved him to second base, and it seems like that's where they prefer him to be. Does not saying that he can't play at third base. I've seen him do it at a very high level at Myrtle Beach, but I think that's kind of the way they're going with him. We even saw him a little bit in center last year. They're trying out a couple different things. So to solidify that position even more, bringing in BJ Murray, who was in the All-Stars future game last year with Pete Crow Armstrong, he's been absolutely phenomenal. And now you're going to bring in Michael Busch. So while those guys continue to develop, it's going to be a lot of fun, man. And a lot of people even down in here, Busch is great. He will do great things in Chicago. We got my guy Jack in here, who's saying, bang, I'm hyped. Jed is finally cooking. Yeah, man. And right before CubsCon, that's exactly what we wanted. And, I'm really pumped. I'm really excited for what we're going to be able to do this year at Chicago Cubs games. We're going to be at many games as possible, interviewing fans, doing all the things we always talked about doing. We're going to be in the bleachers, getting crazy, getting loud, making, beer cup snakes and all types of stuff. So if you guys are new here, make sure you smack that follow button for daily Cubs content. Make sure you guys are always here getting the up-to-date news on everything Chicago Cubs. Right now, really what we're looking forward to going into the year is finding out what our utility guys are going to look like, the Patrick Wisdoms of the world, the Nick Madrigals of the world. Everything else I feel like we have solidified at this very moment other than Cody Bellinger. I'm still a big believer in Matt Mervis. I'm still a big believer in what Pete Crow Armstrong and him can do. The thunder and lightning combination, those two guys are absolutely phenomenal. The big one for me is, we're not done yet. You only spent $53 million. That's the truth. I mean, you can count in Craig Counsell's contract and all that, but I don't care. It doesn't go to the actual contract or to the actual salary cap. So I'm still looking at maybe a Rhys Hoskins, I guess you would say Matt Chapman's off the board now that you brought in Michael. So you're still looking at a guy like Bellinger. We can still use another lefty bat. You can never have too much of it. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what could potentially happen. I love this move for the Chicago Cubs. I love this move for the team. You are sure on the starting five pitchers? Yeah, listen, the starting five pitchers right now are definitely questionable. I'm going to give you a little opinion that I have when we go to Mesa, Arizona. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think the one guy I would potentially keep an eye on is Ben Brown. I think Ben Brown could find his way into this rotation, whether that's a 5-man or a 6-man rotation. You could see Kyle Hendricks kind of just getting the boot by the second half of the season and them testing out maybe a trade for him come the deadline, or maybe even just, saying, hey, man, we kind of the Jay Hay treatment. Like, we're not going to play you, but we still want you to be a part of the clubhouse. But yeah, that's really where I'm at with it. That's really where I'm at. Not a fan of Tyone. Yeah, I mean, Tyone had a great second half, and that was awesome, but that first half was ugly, bro. I mean, that a man was killing my parlays left and right. But yeah, I mean, Tyone is obviously going to be probably locked in for a little while. We'll see what happens with that. Yoshida is a great one. Yoshida is one of those guys that I think could potentially go anywhere. I would keep an eye out on Baltimore. Don't quote me on why. I've been talking to other people. Baltimore is one of those teams that I think could definitely be in on him, and I think they have the prospects in order to trade for a guy like that. They're also kind of trying to make their playoff push as soon as possible. We saw what that was last year with Gunnar and Adley and what they were able to do. They got my guys Connor Pavoloni and other guys down there in AAA and AA. So, they definitely have a great farm system, and bringing in so many other key pieces has been very important for them. So it'll be fun, man. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how this transpires. The real big question to me is who's DHing and who's playing third between Christopher Morel and Michael Busch. If they both make if Michael Busch makes the big league level immediately, because we don't know. He didn't have a great outing with the Dodgers 40-man roster in his small stint that he was with them last year. I believe he batted under 170 in that small stint, but batting 323 in AAA all year long with 27 bombs going into this offseason, and then what he's going to accomplish this offseason going into spring training, you could see a totally different version of him. You also got guys like Owen Casey that could potentially DH as well. So there's a lot of different names. There's a lot of different players that you could look at and say could potentially be a part of this roster. Somebody asked really quickly before we get out of here, we're going to read a few of the comments. Would you trade for Dylan Cease? I would definitely trade back for Dylan Cease because, I mean, first, you understand that you never should have got rid of him, but we were also in win now mode. We were just coming off a World Series championship. John Lackey was awful. Jason Hamels is gone. So many other different pieces are falling into place. It's just unfortunate, that we lost on C. So I wouldn't mind it. Who just said that? Daniel just said that. What's happening, baby? Hey, Danny, man, I hope you're doing amazing, bro. That's so love, bro. I went to middle school with him. That's crazy. But yeah, man, it's an absolute blessing, bro. It's an absolute blessing to see this happen right before CubsCon. I'd love for them to finish it off, but right before spring training, obviously bringing in a guy like Cody Bellinger. Michael changes a lot. Michael changes a lot. There is no doubt about it. Michael coming into fruition, Michael coming into the fold at age 26. You look at that and you say, we don't need Matt Chapman anymore. You know what I mean? We don't need potentially Reese Hoskins. He said, I'm with Will right now. Oh, that's crazy. You right down the block? That's crazy. Hold on. Wait, I'll text you. Or text me. I don't even think I have your number anymore. But it's something to me that I look at that and I say, we're in a great position to succeed. We're in a great position to succeed. You bring in Imanaga, you bring in all these other names. The prospects are going to continue to develop. We're going to be in Arizona covering that live. It's going to be a lot of fun to do that with the network we're going to be doing it with. And, it's going to be fun, man. That's all I could really say. I'm continuing to repeat myself, and I know it sounds corny, but like Cubs baseball is back. And we're in a place right now to where we can not only watch a major league team have success, but watch guys grow in AA, AAA, single A, independent ball, wherever they're at. Just to see that happen is just absolutely phenomenal compared to where we were just 2-3 years ago. So with that, man, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. We're gonna get off a live right here. We're gonna be going live later on tonight. We're gonna be doing a show with Rob Parker and Rob Scott. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And of course, we're gonna be doing Pros and Joes, interviewing a couple minor league baseball players, which will be an absolute blast as well. Until then, I'll check you guys out later. Peace. I love you.